What's confusing is all of those things that you just said are also included in the racketeering count.
So we don't know what the vote is.
So we don't know what the vote is. It's hard to read what they...
The desperate 911 call comes from inside Michael Jackson's rented Beverly Hills mansion. It is just before...
Through the heart of music history, according to the woman who stood by Sean Diddy Combs for over a decade. The man now facing a stack of scandals higher than the Billboard charts was sent to eliminate none other than Michael Jackson. Not metaphorically, not career-wise, but literally. Her claim was that Michael had become too powerful, too unpredictable, and far too aware of the shadow games behind the curtain. And Diddy, he was the cleanup man, the fixer, the one who, in return for eternal fame, cashed in on the unthinkable. That's the kind of accusation that doesn't get whispered at after-parties. It gets buried.
Done all I could do. I told the truth, and I have faith the truth will prevail.
According to the police affidavit, Conrad Murray told detectives he'd been treating Michael Jackson for insomnia for weeks. He said he'd tried lots of other but that the pop star demanded propofol. On the day Conrad Murray said he gave Jackson 25 milligrams of it at 10...
Elimination of the most famous man on earth, the king of pop, by a peer who stood to inherit his power. And when you zoom in on the timing, on the fortune, on the eerie aftermath of June 25, 2009, it doesn't feel like pure fantasy anymore. Michael Jackson wasn't just rehearsing for a comeback that summer. He was engineering a seismic industry play. He wasn't just preparing for a tour. He was preparing to reclaim his throne. The This Is It concerts were more than a show. They were leverage. Michael had control over a catalog so vast and valuable, it practically dictated the pulse of the industry. The Beatles wrote their own mega hits, entire generations of music. But here's where it tilts into thriller territory. People close to Jackson said he believed they were watching him. He told his sister LaToya, "They're going to get me for my catalog." He left frantic notes, scribbled warnings about being surrounded. Was he paranoid? Or was he right? Because here's where Diddy's name enters the shadows, according to Cassie, and echoed, some say, by Jackson's own final word to a close associate. Diddy knew too much. It's a phrase that chills.
That he
knows music, not that he knows the game, but that he knows too much. And
it's a lot more complicated than just Dr. Murray was at his bedside when he... Circumstances had been leading up to this for years.
Aesthetics in a private bedroom. But what if that doctor wasn't acting alone? What if, as some believe, Conrad Murray was a puppet in a much deeper scheme, and who had everything to gain when Jackson's influence abruptly vanished? Take a look at Diddy's timeline. In the months following Jackson's final curtain, Diddy's brand surged to global ubiquity. Deals got signed, Bad Boy Records expanded, and CROC sales skyrocketed. Suddenly, the man whose musical relevance had started to wane was on the front page again for fashion and fragrance features. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a coronation. And for those digging into this narrative, that meteoric rise wasn't just convenient, it was contractual. The payout, they say, is for completing an assignment that had been in motion for years. Now keep in mind, this isn't the kind of conspiracy you find buried in Reddit threads. This is the kind of story whispered by veteran producers, by ex-bodyguards, and by people...
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things.
Log discussions between Diddy and a then-powerful executive just weeks before Michael's demise. Another source insists that after MJ's passing, several backdoor ownership transfers were fast-tracked, including key portions of the ATV publishing empire. Coincidence? Possibly. But try selling that to the Jackson family, some of whom still believe Michael was absolutely set up. And Cassie? She was there through the Grammy parties, the yacht deals, and the international flights. She saw who came through the door when the cameras weren't rolling. She knew who Diddy was entertaining and who he was answering to. How her accusations aren't vague, they're surgical. She says Michael was out of control, but not in the public scandal sense. In the dangerously free sense, talking too much, planning too much, and allegedly preparing to expose things that could burn the foundations of pop culture to the ground. And if that's true, then Diddy wasn't just part of the industry. He was its executioner, the man tapped by powerful interests to shut Michael down. And if you think that sounds too wild to be true, remember Diddy's sitting in jail right now.
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
He's facing time, real time. And suddenly, the people who once protected him were silent. Suddenly, his inner circle is disbanding like frightened witnesses. And Cassie, she's not running. She's naming names. What's even more haunting is that Michael seemed to know the script before the curtain dropped. His daughter Paris told Rolling Stone, he said, "They're going to get me." And when the coroner's report labeled his passing a homicide, yes, homicide, official story narrowed in on Conrad Murray. But again, ask yourself, who hired Murray? Who financed the comeback tour's infrastructure? Who stood to benefit if that tour never happened? Because one canceled tour might be a tragedy, but one canceled tour followed by a seismic redistribution
Through his orbit. How many people could this have happened to? And how did he get away with it for so long?
the ads claiming he called a contact just days before June 25th. A cryptic call, short and frantic. The message, if something happens to me, Diddy knows too much. What he meant? But it's the kind of sentence that reads differently when one man is in the ground and the other is in handcuffs. And still, the biggest question hangs in the air like a storm cloud no one wants to touch. Why, Michael? Why take out the king of pop? For many watching from the sidelines, the answer starts and ends with ownership. Michael Jackson's publishing empire wasn't just valuable. It was volcanic. With a stroke of a pen, he controlled the rights to the Beatles, Little Richard, Elvis hits, and more than half of Sony's prized music vault. Insiders say it was worth over $1 billion. But more than that, it made him dangerous. To an industry built on quiet deals and unspoken rules,
Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil, ash.
it out completely, Michael tightened his grip instead, and from that moment on, everything changed. His inner circle shifted. New handlers appeared. Financial advisors came and went. Right at the center of that shakeup, we find Diddy, newly ascendant, suddenly everywhere, and rumored to be working with exactly the kinds of executives who stood to gain from Michael's downfall. Cassie's claim wasn't just about betrayal. It was about succession. In the wake of Jackson's silence, who got the stage? Not long after Michael's passing, Sony, now without its fiercest shareholder, cured a massive piece of the catalog he once protected like gold. And who else started expanding influence inside Sony's orbit at the same time? Diddy? He inked new branding deals. His name started surfacing at executive rounds, not just music events. And in the years that followed, he emerged as more than just a performer. He became a brand builder, a media kingmaker, and even a political voice. Some said it was brilliance. Others quietly whispered that it was something else entirely.
Businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, like, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks, it's every day.
Back the curtain on what they describe as ritualistic multi-day sessions of control and humiliation hosted, filmed and orchestrated by Diddy himself. These weren't just adult escapades. These were power displays, his way of showing he owned the room, owned the people in it, owned the story. Now ask yourself, doesn't that sound hauntingly familiar? Jackson's own notes, the ones scattered across his home, spoke of being watched, being manipulated, being forced into a world he didn't recognize. People giving him injections, handlers who wouldn't leave, staff that rotated so quickly he no longer knew who to trust. It wasn't just the propofol, it was the environment. He felt surrounded by those with hidden agendas, and he wrote about it constantly. He feared being used. And in the end, that fear may have been exactly right.
Start with alleged victim number 4, who goes by the name Mia. It's an alias. She is one of the people who is testifying where the judge has granted her anonymity. She is on the stand, but everybody in the courtroom has been warned. Do not reveal her identity. Do not even give a physical description.
All while maintaining the illusion of a loving, aspirational couple in public. Her words mirror Michael's scribbled warnings. "They are trying to destroy me," he wrote. "I don't feel safe anymore." This isn't just a story about two fallen stars. It's about the machinery behind them, the hidden networks that elevate certain people and erase others. It's about the fine line between fame and captivity and the brutal cost of stepping out of line. For years, Diddy was seen as the self-made mogul who went from Harlem hustle to Hollywood elite. But the image is cracking one court case at a time, one leaked clip at a time. And as that mask slips, the timing of his rise becomes harder to ignore. Michael's final performances, those haunting rehearsal tapes from June 2009, show a man determined but exhausted.
Harder to ignore.
So she testified, excuse me, that she was Diddy's ex-assistant. She said he her, sexually assaulted her in various ways multiple times. He exacted unbelievable violence against her, threatened her, at one point allegedly threatened to take her phone and use any...
Taken on a life of its own online. Not because of the choreography, but because of the way he moved. Frame by frame, fans and investigators alike have dissected his every gesture, pointing out how his steps were just slightly delayed, how his body language seemed drained, and how his face, usually a mask of intensity on stage, looked oddly distracted, even haunted. It wasn't just fatigue, they argue. It was fear, the kind that lingers in someone who senses the end coming, even if they can't say it out loud. Some viewers focus on one chilling detail, the way Michael constantly glances off stage, as if watching for something or someone just out of frame. In certain moments, his eyes seem to scan the room rather than engage the camera. The smile vanishes. The second the music stops. Body language experts
just got this new audio from the Diddy trial, and it is pretty explosive. This is audio of a voicemail that Diddy left to the Jane Doe who's been testifying in this trial for the last couple days. And he sounds really annoyed. He's talking about her maybe giving him the silent treatment, and his response is, "I got a busy life. I can't be dealing with your silent treatment."
Theory is the fact that Michael reportedly fought against multiple medical interventions leading up to the tour, clashing with handlers and advisors over how much control he retained. According to leaked tour planning documents, key decisions were increasingly made without his input. That rehearsal footage then becomes more than just a behind-the-scenes glimpse. It becomes a cipher, a quiet distress call embedded in the polished machinery of his final act. The way his voice cracks, the way his movements stop half a beat to soon these aren't just artistic quirks. Too many, they're signs that he knew he was spiraling towards something he couldn't stop.